Let's talk about how to get to the crime scene. Isolated and dangerous are really the two best identifiers of this location. As you can see, it's located in just below Central California, north of Los Angeles. The best way to get here is to find a place on the map called Gaviota State Park. You can see the arrow pointing to the crime scene. I've identified Lompoc to the north, Santa Barbara to the south, and the arrow is pointing to the crime scene there in the middle. Gaviota State Park is the box located just to the west of the crime scene. Locate Gaviota State Park and then proceed south. I now have specific directions indicated. Get to the crime scene now, and the best way to do that is to go to Gaviota State Park in California. Gaviota State Park is located about 25 miles north of Santa Barbara on US 101. About 25 miles south of Lompoc, California on US 101. US 101 runs from San Francisco to LA. Actually, it runs from Mexico all the way to Canada. It's a 4-lane highway through this stretch, very busy. Was not nearly as busy as this back in the early 60s when I was a kid living here. It's 3.2 miles from Gaviota State Park to a turnaround, and then just a few feet from that turnaround to the crime scene. So if you set your odometers and look for 3.2 miles south of Gaviota State Park heading south. 101 actually runs east to west because of the coastline of California, but it's South 101. First place you're going to come to is the Mariposa exit, which is exit 128. You'll go under a bridge, you know you're going in the right direction. Look over to the right, you'll see the Pacific Ocean. You'll also see the railroad track, which runs between the highway and the ocean. Trains go through here at 60 miles an hour. We were at the crime scene earlier today, and the train went by at 60 miles an hour, so they're very fast and very dangerous. They pass through several times a day. You want to be careful about that. The highway has a side, an area on the side where you can pull over. There's often a guardrail. So it makes it very dangerous. Not only was there a double murder here all those years ago in 1963, but it's also a dangerous place because there's nowhere to park to get down to the crime scene. Certainly don't want to go there alone, and if you go, you want to be very careful about and realize that there's no place to park your car. So I recommend that you not go to the crime scene. Speed limit here is 65 miles an hour, but because of the traffic, it's difficult to drive that at times. There's heavy truck traffic here. Cars are actually traveling faster than that quite often. The temperature here is usually in the 70s in the summer. Usually dry, rains in the winter, dry in the summer, no rain at all. On the right now, you're going to see a place where people will pull over and stop, go over the railroad tracks down to the beach and surf fish. Very common practice here. They were doing that when I lived here in the 60s. There's just no place to stop and go to the crime scene. In the 60s, there was a place in the median between the two lanes where we could pull over 2 or 3 cars wide and place for maybe 3-4 cars to pull in and stop, cross the road. They closed that down a long time ago because the traffic is so much busier now. More recently, there was a place to pull off on the side, on the right side of the highway, and walk down the crime scene. Now you can see coming up here on the left is the turnaround. That's 3.2 miles south of Gaviota State Beach, and the crime scene is just a few hundred feet to the south of this point on the right. I'm going to pull over and show you the crime scene, where you leave to go over to the crime scene. Look for a guardrail on the right, and you'll want to stop right at that guardrail. Again, there's no place really to leave your car to go there now. You see the guardrail coming up on the right? I'm going to signal and pull over here. Very dangerous place to park your car. You can see now, if you look over to your right, you can see a ledge there. In the old days, you'd pull your car over here, walk up a little trail on that ledge on the top, you'd look down on the beach, and that's where the crime scene is. A little bit more to the right, you can see an opening, a gully, or a wash. There's a creek that runs from the mountains behind us back down through here that leads to the crime scene. There's a railroad track bridge and a bridge for the US 101 behind us, and that makes the wash. The creek makes the wash that goes down to the sandy place, or the rocky place where Bobby and Linda were sunbathing that day. There, you've got to go up over this ledge, this little peak here, and then walk. It's pretty difficult walk down to the crime scene. There's two different trails that go down there. Over to my left, you can see where we used to pull over. There's a sign here that says no parking, and actually where that sign was the place that we used to park. There was a little place to pull over, and you could park 3 or 4 cars, maybe 5 cars there, and we'd then cross the road and go over and walk down to the beach. As I was explaining, you can see this sign, the no parking sign. Immediately behind that sign was an empty place where you could pull your cars in the old days, and they closed that some time ago. You could get several cars there. We would then walk across this road, which was not as busy at the time, go up over the hill where you could park your car down into the railroad tracks, up over the railroad tracks to the other side, where you could then go up that hill, over the hill, and then down to the crime scene. While I was filming some dolphins, a train came by, and you get to see what it's like for the train to come by at 60 miles an hour. You definitely don't want to be on the railroad tracks when that happens. Here you can see an individual walking up over the hill on the other side of the tracks. This is the place that you will go to get to the trail that leads down to the crime scene. As I pan over to the right, you'll see the wash that runs from underneath the railroad tracks down to the beach. Now we're on top of the hill where you can look down the wash toward the crime scene. This is the place where Bobby and Linda would have been sunbathing on that day. You can park your car about 100 feet or so down from where we were located at the guardrail. There's a place to pull off there. You can walk the 100 feet or so back up the railroad tracks. However, as you saw, the trains come quickly and it's very dangerous. This is where they were sunbathing. Once you get to the top of the hill, you'll see a trail that leads down to the beach. It's about 600 feet. There's the trail. There's the wash again. The shack was located about 30 yards or so up into that wash. Of course, it's long gone now. It's about a 100-foot drop from here down to the beach. It's about 600 feet. Here's the two trails, one to the left and one to the right. You want to take the right trail and start walking down the beach. It's pretty rugged. You want to have good shoes. It can be slippery. It rains in the winter. It's very dry in the summer.